says whatever frequency that you transmit from your brain, a matching frequency will be attracted. What first happens is when you transmit a frequency, let's say black Cadillac, or black Mercedes, or new car, whatever it is you're transmitting. The first thing that gets attracted are matching thoughts. So the first thing that gets attracted are matching thoughts. When the matching thoughts keep coming in, that means the power and intensity of your transmission gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and more intense and more intense and more intense. And the duration of that transmission gets longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. And when it reaches the tipping point, that's when the physical manifestation happens and you actually see it and touch it with your own hands. But before you see it and touch it with your own hands, the first thing that happens is when you consciously transmit that thought and consciously add power and intensity to it, which is strong desire, strong belief, anticipation, excitement, other thoughts begin to come in. And they could be thoughts like this, like new car, new car, new car, new car, new car. And the first thing could be you start seeing the car you're looking, you start seeing them everywhere. You start transmitting that new car, new car, new car, new car, new car. And all of a sudden you're picking up ads, lowest interest rates on car loans in the last 25 years. And you're thinking, you know, boy, these interest rates, new lease programs available. And you're transmitting the thought, new car, new car, new car, new car, new car. And all of a sudden, you're driving down the road, it says, home-based business, new car program available. We make the payments for you. And you're like, wait a minute, I could. And then you say, you know, I could probably do a home-based. And now all of a sudden, things start coming into your radar screen. And you start thinking of, oh, wait a minute. And your belief starts going up. And that little ball of energy for new car gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And as the energy, which is thoughts, as the thoughts pile on one another, the ball of energy for new car gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the bigger the ball of energy, which is just a whole bunch of thoughts, gets bigger, the stronger the magnetic pull for more like-minded thoughts. And so faster and bigger thoughts keep coming in. Thoughts come in faster and bigger. And that ball of energy gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the bigger it gets, the stronger the magnetic pull, which means more similar thoughts come in faster and bigger. It's exponential. And you get this big, huge thing, and your belief keeps going higher and higher. Your anticipation keeps going higher and higher. And this big ball of energy gets bigger and bigger and more powerful and stronger. And your transmission gets more powerful and more intense. And the duration of that transmission, instead of being 20 minutes a day, it's now all you're consumed. You have an obsession with this new car and the anticipation of it coming in your experience, even though you have no idea how it's going to happen, gets bigger and bigger. And you're smiling all day and whistling. And all of a sudden, in 3 weeks, you drive away in that brand new car. And someone says, how could you afford that? And you would say, it's the funniest thing. You wouldn't believe it. I was walking down the road and I saw a briefcase lying against the building. And it was just sitting there. And I picked it up and there was a guy's name and phone number. He had a business card attached to the briefcase. And I called him up from my cell phone and I said, sir, I'm sitting here on the street and I got this briefcase. And the guy says, oh my God, I didn't know where I left it. I don't know how I lost it. Oh, thank you. You have no idea. My whole life is in that briefcase. Where can I meet you? What can I do to repay? Oh, nothing, sir. I just found the briefcase. Let me pick it up. I'll be there in 20 minutes. And the guy comes, picks up the briefcase and says, you know, I can't believe you're such a good Samaritan. You didn't even open the briefcase. I didn't have it locked, but you have no idea what I had in here as valuables, and I want to give you a reward. Oh, no, sir, I don't need a reward. No, please, please. Let me give you a reward. And the guy gave me a check for $50,000. And I hopped in my car, and I went down to the Mercedes dealership. I traded in my car, put down a down payment. I got lower payments now than I had before with my old car. I got a brand new car and I got cash in the bank. That story, by the way, actually happened. Absolute true story. Absolute true story. And so the reason I bring this up is, right now, you have been using the law of attraction the opposite way. You have been thinking mostly negative thoughts. Oh, I could never make that happen. Oh, that could never work for me. Oh, this won't happen. Oh, that. And the more negative thinking that you do, the negative thoughts are negative transmissions, which attract other negative thoughts, which attract more negative thoughts. And you have a black ball of negative energy. And that ball has magnetic pull and power. So it attracts negative thoughts and forces you, by law of attraction, to think more negative thoughts, to be almost by habit. And you actually have neural pathways that developed in your brain that are negative patterns. And so over time, you right now probably have this huge mammoth block of energy that you're carrying around of negative thoughts. And you have these huge, well-grooved neural pathways in your brains, which make it so easy. As a matter of fact, let me tell you the good news. You are unconsciously competent when it comes to thinking negative. It happens automatically for you. You're a genius at thinking negative. You're brilliant. You are so proficient at instantly thinking a negative thought and thinking why it won't work, why that can't happen, and coming up with all the reasons why things won't happen and focusing on what you don't want. You're brilliant. You've been doing it your whole life. So when you start doing this technique, you're starting off with a very small positive ball, which means you have to be consciously competent. And the more you focus on the positive, the negative ball will only continue to attract things if you engage it by thinking that way. So when you start thinking of the positive, you're now developing new neural pathways. The old neural pathways are trying to pull you. That negative ball of energy, like a magnet, is pulling you to think that way because that's your pattern, that's your habit. So conscious competence is required for about a month of doing this. So you start developing new neural pathways and start getting that positive ball bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it gets bigger, it starts attracting. And the negative ball of energy starts diminishing. And so its attractive power starts getting less. And so over time, your habits and patterns of thinking negative and the neural pathways that have been grooved so much about thinking negative start losing all their power. And you start becoming more habitual thinking positive. You start thinking positive unconsciously, competently, automatically. And the magic will happen in your life the day and the moment that positive ball gets bigger than that negative ball, which means for the first time in your life, probably, the positive energy, the positive thoughts, such as, oh, I can make that happen. Oh, I don't know how, but listen, I know how this works. This can happen. Oh, good things always happen to me. I'm lucky. When you start thinking and believing those statements, listen, I don't know how it's going to work out. Oh, this may look bad. Believe me, it'll all turn out just fine. When you say something like that and completely believe it in your core, when that positive ball gets bigger than the negative ball, there's a shift, like a titanic earthquake in your being. You're now thinking more positive than negative. You have crested. A shift had occurred. Everything in your life then changes. It's the moment that you wake up. And that's why we say success is a decision away. That's the day when you make the decision. That's when you say, I'm going to do it. That's it, period. I don't care what the circumstances say. I don't care what the facts say. I'm going to do it. That's it, period. Watch my stuff, baby. Oh, it doesn't matter what people say, what people think. It doesn't matter what the facts say. I have no idea of how. I don't know how. I don't know how. My radar screen tells me it's impossible. Ha 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 ha. Oh man, it's going to be interesting to see how this thing actually works out, because it's going to work out just fine. And you start feeling so unbelievably powerful and confident, and you start feeling so joyful and blissful, and you start skipping, and you start waking up in the morning and jumping out of bed and singing a tune and go, I don't know why I'm so happy. I have no idea why, but I am. Everything in my life is going terribly wrong. Why am I so happy? And the reason is because I know it'll all just work out fine. Everything will turn around, and I have no idea how, but I just know it will. And that's when your life becomes magical. That's why it's so vitally important to focus on feeling good now. Feeling good now. There are a bunch of techniques and specific things to feel good now, which I'm going to share with you. And some of them are, well, all of them are things that we've done within the society members to varying degrees. But we're going to start showing you now how to really apply this and wrap it up all together. Let's take a short break, and for those listening to the CD, this is the end of the CD, and we'll come back on the next CD.